This is home. Twin States News starts right now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Ann Emanuel. Tonight, we are learning new details about the suspects facing charges for stealing from Poplar Springs Elementary School. Twin States News' Colby Sims brings us the details he's uncovered about this burglary.
After looking further into the Poplar Springs school burglary, MPSD Resource Officer Cornelius Parks sheds light on what exactly was stolen.
Several iPads, several Chromebooks, and also some monitors and a few radios that were stolen.
Officer Parks told Twin States News that suspects forced entry into the school earlier this month by using a crowbar and that there was a faulty alarm issue.
They spent several hours in the school on two different occasions, so they felt like they got away one night and they decided to come back again.
So what impact has the loss of the devices had on the students?
It was a hinder to their progress because, you know, just like our personal device, when you have iPads, you have basically everything on there, your life. And these kids had the apps to access their work and also to get extra learning skills.
Having retrieved several undamaged items, Officer Parks encourages the community to be cautious of the other items that are still out there.
And we want to remind the public, if you are in possession of those stolen items, you can be charged with possession of stolen goods. So we do want to urge them, if you have any information on those items, to please contact our department.
Cornelius Parks, School Resource Officer with the MPSD Campus Police, wanted to thank Meridian Police and Lauderdale County Sheriff's Offices on their quick and successful collaborative effort capturing the suspects. Colby Sims, Twin States News, Meridian.
People in Meridian learning more about suicide today. Twin States News' Jacobus Roby shows us how people in the community are learning more about mental health to help the younger generation and themselves.
The month of September is known as Suicide Prevention Month, and Community Health Improvement Network President Beverly Knox wants to inform people about suicide in the younger generation.
We want to make sure that our youth understand that it's okay to come to an adult, to make sure that they are letting someone know if they're in the position where people, other students are bullying them. We want to make sure that we are aware.
Adrian Jones is director of the Children and Youth Division at Weems Community Health Center and served as a speaker of the event.
The leading cause of death for children, suicide, is rising right up there, and unfortunately some kids feel like that's their only way out of whatever they're feeling, and we tend to see the signs afterwards when they say it's too late.
While informing others to be aware of the signs in youth, Jones also wants to encourage anyone dealing with signs of suicide.
But what I hope for everybody to take away is that there's somebody out there to talk to, and there's help. Wherever you're at, there's somebody that can provide some help.
Weems Children and Youth Organization say that they want people to understand that it's okay if you're not okay and that there is someone to talk to. In Meridian, Jacobus Roby, Twin States News.
It is looking more and more likely that the U.S. government could partially shut down at the end of next week. Republicans can't seem to get their house in order. Rebecca Castor has more from Washington.
The halls of Congress mostly empty, with the House and Senate off until next week, even with the government barreling towards a shutdown. The House Rules Committee will still be working, though, prepping a series of spending bills for debate. Republicans who control the House can't seem to come together to keep the government funded. Hardliners want to slash the budget instead of supporting a temporary fix.
We've got to have a reasonable number. We've got to stop this spending with what the Biden administration is doing.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says his far-right colleagues are derailing negotiations. But if the speaker turns to Democrats for help, he could get ousted.
Is the speaker's job on the line?
Yes, it is.
Congress must pass 12 appropriation bills to prevent a shutdown, or else they need to pass a short-term bill to keep the funding flowing. But with the fiscal year ending on September 30th, lawmakers are running out of time.
We should put the pain on members of Congress. If you can't get the budget bills passed, suspend their pay until they get it passed.
If a shutdown happens, it would be the fourth time in a decade, closing national parks, monuments, and military training centers.
Unless McCarthy can rein his most extremist MAGA faction in, it's inevitable.
The White House says this is not their job to fix, but warns Republicans that crucial government workers, including active duty military and federal law enforcement, would be forced to work without pay if the government shuts down. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
The United Auto Workers Union inviting President Biden to the picket line as thousands more members join. The White House has stayed away from the bargaining table so far. Jeff Flock has the latest on the auto workers' strike.
They chose for us to be out here right now. This wasn't a decision we made. This was a company's decision.
The United Auto Workers Union expanding its strike on Friday, with President Shawn Fain announcing that workers at 38 parts distribution centers owned by both General Motors and Stellantis will be joining the picket lines. That brings the total number of members on strike to more than 18,000.
Well, I think it's time for GM and Stellantis to get real. Ford Motor Company listened, and they came to the table with some good offers.
Fain saying the union's potential breakthroughs with Ford include ensuring additional job security after layoffs and bringing back a cost of living allowance. The UAW says Stellantis and General Motors rejected those proposals. But talks with Ford aren't over, and the strike at the Ford factory in Wayne, Michigan is still on. The UAW is demanding a 32-hour work week, a restoration of old pension plans, and wage hikes of more than 35%. A week into the walkout, thousands of workers have been laid off. The union will be dipping into its strike fund to pay each member $500 a week.
Our invitation to anyone today, including the White House, to come and join our workers on a picket line, that's an open invitation for anybody. That's where you see support.
In response, GM says today's strike escalation is unnecessary and that it has contingency plans. In Wayne, Michigan, I'm Jeff Flock with the Fox Business Network.
West Nile virus has been reported in almost every state in the U.S., and it's not going away yet. Tanya J. Powers has more.
It's not that common here in San Diego. The last time we had positive mosquitoes was probably 5-6 years ago.
A California county is grappling with its first sign of West Nile virus this year, and it's not alone. The CDC says that nearly every state in the U.S. has reported at least one case of the mosquito-borne disease in 2023, with about 750 cases turning neuroinvasive, meaning extremely severe. An estimated 1 in 5 infected people develop symptoms, and even fewer become seriously ill or die.
But for those people that have more challenged immune systems, those symptoms can range from something very mild like a headache and a fever to something more severe like encephalitis.
Colorado's feeling the brunt of the bites with hundreds of West Nile virus cases. And the Colorado Department of Public Health says more than 20 people infected with the disease have died this year alone. Mosquitoes can multiply rapidly, and it takes less than a week for one of them to develop into an adult. With heavy snow melts and rainfall in the western states this spring, researchers say it's expected that the mosquito numbers have been higher than normal. While there's no vaccine for West Nile virus, you can still take precautions.
So that's why it's really important for people to check their yards or their houses for standing water, because all it takes is just a week or less for a mosquito to develop from the egg to adult.
So even during fall hikes, you can wear long sleeves and pants to protect yourself from bites outside. In New York, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
The holiday season just got a little more affordable. The United States Postal Service announces there will be no peak holiday surcharges for mailing and shipping this year. There will also be no additional fees for residential area delivery, for Saturday delivery, or for minimum volumes. We are ready to deliver for the holidays in a superior and routine manner, said the Postmaster General in a press release. Meanwhile, competitors UPS and FedEx are moving forward with holiday surcharges this season. Those begin in October. Lawmakers in Oregon are proposing a new bill aimed at protecting students from the dangers of fentanyl. But the goal is not to just protect Oregon, but to protect students nationwide from this dangerous drug. Officials found that only 36% of teens are aware of fentanyl being often used in fake pills. In a meeting Thursday, state leaders say because this is a national crisis, they need a national strategy. It's called the Fentanyl Awareness for Children and Teens in School Act, or FACTS. It's a new bill to educate students about fentanyl. Government officials say they hope to get the bill approved and passed as soon as possible. Employers who take care of worker health needs may face their own headaches next year over coverage costs. Several benefits consultants say medical inflation will raise employer-based healthcare coverage costs between 5.4 to 8.5% in 2024, which would be the largest rate hikes in 10 years. Consultants say reasons for the higher costs include rising demand for weight loss drugs and gene therapy, and some employers may pass on little or no cost sharing to employees as a result of the increases. Negotiations resume between writers and studios, and it could be a sign that the WGA strike is soon coming to a close. Ashley Dvorkin has the latest.
3 days in a row of talks between the Writers Guild of America and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers could be a step forward in the ongoing double Hollywood strikes. The WGA negotiating committee was back at the bargaining table Friday and asked as many members as possible to come out to the picket lines.
The mood is up. We're excited that they're back in negotiations, that they're talking with us.
I'm not in the room, so I can't speak to whether we're close or not. What I do know is that the CEOs finally seem to be engaged. We've been out here for 5 months because of their corporate greed. Hopefully we're close to a deal. I would love to get back to work, and the studios, it's about time that to do a counterproposal.
It was an encouraging sign Wednesday when both sides issued a rare joint statement as talks took place. When the two met a month ago, it was followed by a back and forth over a counteroffer, then back to the picket lines, where union members have remained strong. SAG-AFTRA members continue to strike outside the studios, too. The unions have similar issues at stake, including increased wages, streaming residuals, and protections against artificial intelligence. SAG-AFTRA went on strike July 2nd. WGA has now been on strike for more than 140 days. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Still ahead, we have your weekend forecast. Plus, the White House is launching the nation's first federal Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Details coming up.